Ashely, lots to talk about here, but from what I understand, you guys at AFPI are putting together a 100-year plan for the America First agenda. I think this is kind of important, especially as we're talking about, what was it, 10 years ago that the Chinese Communist Party put together their Made in China 2025 plan. Well, it's 2025, and the Chinese definitely took their shot. But I think with President Trump back in the White House, we're turning things around. But that being said, we've got a plan for the future. So talk to us a little bit about your guys' 100-year plan on this front.
Sure. So thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here, and I'm glad you got to hear from one of our founding members, our founding former president, CEO, Brooke Rollins, earlier today. When Brooke created America First Policy Institute alongside Linda McMahon and Larry Kudlow, she always had a vision for the future. So, what are we going to do? It was basically created after November of 2020. Many people had kind of written off the America First movement, especially in January of 2021. And Brooke had, during her tenure at Domestic Policy Council, was mapping out what a second-term Trump agenda would look like. What would that plan look like? And when that didn't happen, there was too much there to just let it go by the wayside. So Brooke really focused on, okay, how do we take these policies and how do we continue this into the future? And not only just try to make an impact at the federal government or stop some of the really bad things that were coming out from the previous administration, but how do we carry that into the states? And how do we make sure that we can fight at the state level and at the local level? And so that's what AFPI has been doing. In 2022, we launched our America First agenda, which were our 10 policy pillars, and it was our blueprint for how we save the country. And within that, so far to date, within the first 100 days of the new administration, over 86% of those policy ideas have been enacted at the federal level. But just last year alone, we had over 700 state policy wins across the country. So the amount of impact that we're able to have this year, just in the first 100 days, and in the next 10 years, 100 years, is going to be monumental.
Right. Okay. So now, I think that planning for the broader efforts for the United States for the next century, looking forward, is a very smart idea for us as a country. Because what we've been doing is we just kind of bounce back and forth between, this time there's a Republican in the White House, and there's a Democrat in the White House, and then we just nothing really seems to change, right? Trump seems to be a difference maker here, right? Like in that he's really starting to turn it around. But what we've been seeing is especially over the last 30 or 40 years, is just this slow ebb and flow of where our manufacturing and our core industries have been just leaving the United States. They've been mostly going to China, but elsewhere around the world too. So I think that really putting together, it's kind of the answer to China here, right? Like if we're going to really put together this plan, China did their Made in China 2025 plan. Well, you guys are going to do Made in America 2100, right? Like, I mean, this is a long-term plan for the United States, really. It's bigger than just the movement. And I think that having that put together is a very smart thing.
Well, and a lot of companies have been incentivized to offshore their workforce, their products. The amount of regulation that we've seen in this country, it's been astronomical. Even I come from a small farm family in Central California. And growing up, my parents, my dad made more money shipping his produce to Japan than he did keeping it in the United States. And so we have to completely rethink the way, not that we shouldn't have a global economy and do business with other countries, but we need to make it easier for people to run their companies in the United States, incentivize people to invest in America. We're seeing that right now with the president, and we're seeing that a lot of folks are willing to play ball and bring billions of dollars worth of investments and jobs back to the United States.